The stars were quiet until they screamed. Lieutenant Raya sat alone at orbital listening post Zeta 4, sipping her cold coffee and watching empty space. She was used to silence. Deep space was rarely exciting. But that night, something broke through the static. A sound dot. It wasn't just a signal. It was screaming. Raya dropped her mug. Her hands shook as the audio translated through Earth's language net. The words came slowly, broken and filled with panic. Please, anyone. They are burning us, the children know. Raya's heart pounded. She ran to the alert panel and triggered Level 1 protocol. Lights flashed red. The AI core of Earth's defense grid activated instantly. A hologram appeared beside her, a silver sphere with a calm voice. Unregistered Galactic. Species. Coordinates. Eldorus system. High casualty conflict detected. SOS repeating. Raya stared at the signal data. It wasn't human. It wasn't even from known Allied space. But the desperation? That was universal. She whispered. Are we the only ones hearing this? The AI paused. Yes, signal range, limited. Only Earth has received transmission. Then the next part hit her harder. Please, they have come. The Tarnak Syndicate. We are unarmed. No soldiers. Please someone help us. Raya turned to the AI. What is Tarnak? The AI darkened. Tarnak Syndicate. Hostile slaver species. Known for extermination of uncooperative worlds. Banned from Galactic Council. No current enforcement exists. In other words, they were monsters. And they were unstoppable. Until now. Within minutes, the signal was broadcast to Earth's Central Defense Authority. In a massive chamber beneath Geneva Dome, holograms of world leaders appeared, along with top military minds and Earth's warnet. AI. President Malik of the Unified Earth Government stood up. This isn't just another raid. This is a cry for help. And nobody else will answer. General Raz, leader of the Omega Response Unit, leaned forward. Sir, we have one option. It's risky. But if you approve Code Omega. Everyone went quiet. That code had not been used in 50 years. President Malik looked grim. The Reclaimers? Yes, sir, said Raz. They're sleeping, but they're ready. Deep inside Earth's Arctic vaults, beneath layers of security. And silence, 7 cryopods sat in perfect rows. Inside them were Earth's most dangerous assets, not soldiers. Not heroes. Weapons. Humans who had once fought in the darkest corners of the galaxy. Survivors. Killers. Each one with blood on their hands and unmatched fury in their hearts. Above the cryopods. A screen lit up. Mission. Eldorus system objective. Neutralize Tarnak Syndicate forces. Protect civilians. Status. Code Omega active beginning revival. One pod hissed open. The figure inside blinked. A man with steel gray eyes and skin, marked with scars and cyber implants. Name. The AI prompted. Commander Jax, he said, coldly. Who's dying this time? Back on Zeta 4, Lieutenant. Raya stood in silence as the signal repeated again. Fainter now. Weaker. Please, if anyone is out there. Raya whispered to herself. They are. And Earth was coming. Asterisk, the cryopods cracked open one by one. Freezing gas hissed out as 7 figures stepped into the dim blue light of Earth's Arctic Black Site 9. These were not ordinary humans. They were Reclaimers, Earth's most secret. Then deadly response team, frozen in stasis until needed again. Commander Jax stretched his neck. His spine made a loud crack. Who broke the galaxy this time? The AI's voice echoed from the walls. Target. Tarnak Syndicate. Coordinates. Eldorus system. Full planetary invasion in progress. Civilians under attack. Beside him, a tall woman stepped out, muscles twitching under black nanofiber armor. Her name was Syrah, codename Whisper. Silent, fast, and lethal. Then came Brick, the heavy weapons expert, his arms as thick as tree trunks. Tarnock? Hey, they still alive? Thought we buried them last war. Jox narrowed his eyes. Apparently, they didn't stay buried. They moved quickly, each reclaimer grabbing gear from the vault's weapon racks. Plasma rifles, fusion blades, portable black hole grenades. Tools of war. JAX slid on his visor. A red HUD blinked into life. Mission: protect civilians. Eliminate Tarnock. Total combat clearance authorized. He smirked. Just the way I like it. At Earth's orbital dock Y9, a sleek black ship hummed with energy. It was Vengeance Dawn, the only stealth warship in Earth's deep strike fleet, armed with prototype. Tech and built for one thing. Silent, precise destruction. As the reclaimers boarded, the ship's AI greeted them. Welcome back. Estimated time to target: 12 hours. Tarnock Syndicate forces currently engaging civilians. Do you wish to view live feed? Jox glanced at the screen. What he saw made his fists tighten. An Elvarian woman, barely more than a teen, was shielding 2 children with her body. Tarnock. Soldiers surrounded her, laughing, their plasma rifles pointed at her back. No more, Jox growled. No more children dying. He turned to the crew. No speeches. No mercy. We land, we hit hard, we erase every last one of them. Syrah nodded. Brick cracked his knuckles. The others, Shadow, Pulse, Hex, and Mako, checked their weapons in silence. Each of them had seen the worst of war. Each had come back broken. But Earth had one rule. If they wake the reclaimers, it means someone crossed the line. 12 hours later, in the quiet dark of space above Elverus, the Vengeance Dawn dropped into low orbit. The Tarnock fleet was huge, over 30 destroyers, 6 dreadnoughts, and 1 orbital command fortress. But none of them saw the black ship coming. From orbit, small re-entry pods fired silently, each carrying a reclaimer like a bullet of rage. They punched through the clouds, flames trailing behind them. Like falling meteors. The aliens looked up and saw fire falling from the sky. They didn't know what it was. Not yet, but they would. In the forest outside the Elvarian capital, a Tarnock patrol moved through the trees. One soldier paused. What is that sound? Then he saw the pod burnt and hissing embedded in the dirt. A shadow stepped out of the smoke. It was human, armored, calm. It moved too fast. A blade sliced through the Tarnock's throat before he could scream. Then another soldier fell, and another. In less than 7 seconds, the whole squad was dead. Syrah cleaned her blade and whispered, "One team down." Elsewhere, Brick's pod crashed directly into a weapons depot, blowing it apart from the inside. The explosion lit the sky orange. JX landed inside, a city plaza filled with screaming civilians and laughing Tarnock troops. He didn't say a word. He just opened fire. By the end of the hour, 5 Tarnock ships were on fire. Ground forces were in chaos. Reclaimers moved like ghosts, unseen, unstoppable. On Elverus, for the first time in days, the screaming stopped because Earth had arrived. Asterisk smoke filled the sky above Elverus. Tarnock soldiers marched through the shattered capital city, burning homes, dragging civilians, laughing like war was a game. The air was heavy with fear and ash. Until the sky cracked open. A high-pitched whine echoed from above. Then, boom. A pod crashed straight through a Tarnock walker, turning the metal beast into fire and twisted steel. From the wreckage, a human stepped out. Commander Jox. His armor glowed red from the heat. His visor locked onto the nearest group of Tarnock invaders. They froze. One shouted in panic, "It's a Death Worlder! Shoot it!" Shoo! He didn't finish. Jax's plasma rifle roared, and 3 Tarnok soldiers hit the ground, smoking and silent. He advanced without pause. Behind him, Sira landed like a whisper of wind, her blades gleaming. 2 more fell before they even saw her face. The city had just met the RECLAIMERS in the northern district. A Tarnok gunship hovered over a school. Dozens of Elvarian children huddled inside, teachers trying to calm them. A Tarnok officer laughed. From the cockpit, "Target acquired. Burn it." His finger reached for the trigger, but then, thunk. Something pierced the side of the cockpit. A fist-sized hole opened in the glass. The pilot's helmet cracked. And then his chest did too. Pulse had arrived. She stood atop a nearby tower, holding a railgun the size of a motorcycle. The barrel hissed from heat. 1 shot, 1 kill. "Not today," she said softly. The children inside the school screamed as the gunship exploded, then slowly realized they were alive. Meanwhile, Brick was having fun docked deep in the Tarnok forward base. He stomped through bunkers like a walking tank. He didn't care for stealth. He preferred explosions. Hey, ugly. He roared at a Tarnok commander. The alien turned just in time to see a black hole grenade land at his feet. Dot boom. Everything vanished into the collapsing void tents. Tanks, troops. Oops, Brick grinned. Slipped from my hand. In the underground, sewers, 2 Elvarian families tried to hide. 1 child clutched his mother's hand. Will they find us? Before she could answer, water splashed behind them. Tarnok troops, the mother screamed, but the shadows moved. And suddenly, the Tarnok soldiers were pulled into the dark one by one without sound. The last one managed to aim his rifle before a gloved hand covered his face. Shadow leaned in. Boo! And the sewer was quiet again. Above it all, the Tarnok command ship floated in orbit. Inside, Warlord Var stared at the holographic map in disbelief. Red lights blinked everywhere. Ground forces lost. Outposts offline. Dozens of squads gone dark. Who are these things? He growled. One officer shook. They're humans. But not like the ones from the old wars. These are different. Var's eyes narrowed. Then we send everything. Crush them. I want Elverus turned to glass. The command room trembled. A new message played on the ship's speakers. You invaded the innocent. You spilled blood of those who called for peace. We heard. And now we answer. Commander Jox, Terran. Reclaimer Unit. Back on the surface, the Reclaimers regrouped. The first wave was done. Hundreds of Tarnok invaders were dead. Elvarian civilians began to emerge from shelters. And then something strange happened. A small child walked up to Jox. The boy was shaking. His clothes were dirty, but his eyes were bright with wonder. He held out a single white flower. For you, he said in a small voice. You saved us. Jox blinked. He'd ended wars, toppled empires. Never once had a child offered him. Flower. He took it gently. The Reclaimers didn't speak. But something shifted in them that day. This wasn't just a mission anymore. It was personal. Asterisk. The Tarnok fleet thought they still had the upper hand. In orbit above Elverus. Warlord Var stood at the center of his command ship. Around him, over 30 warships waited for orders. Destroyers, carriers, orbital cannons. A floating wall of death. Below, he had already deployed 10,000 troops. He believed Elverus was already broken. He was wrong. Inside the Reclaimer dropship, deep beneath a ruined Elvarian temple, Jock studied the map with glowing red eyes. Satellite scans complete, the AI announced. Tarnak fleet spread thin. Weakest point sector Theta. Fuel depots. Power grid. Command uplink. Jock smiled. Time to cut the head off the beast. High above, the Vengeance Dawn decloaked just long enough to drop 3 metallic spheres into orbit. They looked small, harmless dot, but inside them were Earth's most advanced weapons. Gravity lances. A Tarnauk officer aboard the flagship noticed the signal flicker. Unidentified objects 3, maybe mines moving toward us slowly. Var didn't blink. Destroy them. The order was too late. With a low hum, the gravity lances activated. 1 second. Every ship within the blast radius felt heavy. Systems glitched. Power cores trembled. 2 seconds. Hulls bent. Smaller ships began to crumple under invisible pressure. 3 seconds. Boom, crack, boom. 8 ships imploded at once. No fire, no explosion. Just sudden, terrifying collapse, like they'd been crushed by a god's invisible hand. On the surface, Reclaimer Hex laughed, watching the carnage from her visor. Feed. Damn, Earth's toys keep getting better. Shadow nodded. Told you when Earth shows up, the rules change. In the Tarnauk command ship, chaos exploded. Power grid down. We've lost communication with 5 sectors. Rear shields failing. What is happening? Var roared, smashing. A screen. These are humans. Primitive filth from a death world. How are they doing this? The truth was simple. Tarnauk had invaded with strength. Earth answered with precision. They were not fighting brutes. They were fighting minds that turned death into art. Back on the battlefield, the Reclaimers moved with deadly focus. Sarah and Mako led a hidden fade through the jungle outskirts, disabling anti-air guns before the Tarnauk even realized the defense grid was offline. Pulse stayed up high. Her railgun picking off squad leaders, disrupting commands. Brick created distractions, massive explosive ones. In a Tarnauk officer's tent, Jock stormed through the door, plasma blade crackling. The officer reached for his weapon. Too slow. Blade pierced his chest. He fell with wide eyes. Jock stood over him and said one thing you shouldn't have answered. That SOS. That night, the sky over Elverus was filled with 2 things. The light of Tarnauk ships burning in orbit, and the echoes of human boots moving through the dirt. Unstoppable. In a quiet valley, Elvarian families wept. But this time, it wasn't from fear. It was relief. One elder turned to the stars and whispered, "Who are these people?" His daughter answered, "The ones who listened, the ones who came." Another replied softly, "No, they're not just people. They are Earth's fury, walking." Tarnauk's mistake wasn't attacking Elverus. Tarnauk's mistake was letting Earth hear them do it. And now, the galaxy would remember the cost of crying out in terror, because humanity always answers. Tarnauk warlord Var had made a decision. He would not run. Not yet, from the bridge of his heavily armored flagship, the Bloodfang. He stared at the dying red light of Elverus below. He clenched his claws tight. "Call in the final wave," he growled. "Send every war beast, every drone, every last firebomb. We will burn this world to its bones." An officer hesitated. "But the humans, sir." Var slammed his fist into the console, cracking it in 2. "They bleed. I saw it. I want them to drown in it." On the surface, Commander Jocks stood, among smoke and ruins, reloading his plasma rifle. Suddenly, the ground began to shake. From the horizon, a massive line of Tarnauk reinforcements appeared. War walkers, plasma tanks, swarm bots, and hundreds of enraged soldiers roaring in one unified chant. Jocks looked at his team, only 7 Reclaimers, but none of them looked afraid. Rick laughed. Finally, a real party. Back in orbit, Earth's stealth ship Vengeance Dawn hovered. Silently, inside, a young Elvarian technician stood beside the ship's AI. She had never seen war before. But now, her people were safe because of these monsters in human skin. What are they? She whispered the A. I responded with no emotion. They are not Earth's army. They are Earth's answer. The Tarnock forces surrounded the reclaimers at the center of Elver's city. JA. X stood tall. Blood stained his armor. His eyes burned cold. He activated his comms and opened a public channel. To the Tarnock Syndicate. You brought fire to the innocent. You laughed while children screamed. And now you face the last ones you'll ever see. He dropped the comm. Let's finish this. The battle was chaos. Sira disappeared into smoke, slicing through Tarnock captains like wind through leaves. Each strike silent, precise. Brick launched himself into a tank column, laughing as he punched a walker in half. Hex and Mako worked as one Hex grenades, turning Tarnock weapons to dust, while Mako hacked their drones mid-air and turned them against their own soldiers, pulse-covered from above, firing clean, perfect shots that shattered morale before they even reached the reclaimers. And Jax? He walked straight into the storm, his plasma blade glowing, one hand tearing through lines, the other holding the white flower a child had given him in his armor's pocket. He fought for that child. Above, Warlord Var watched in horror. He had sent everything, and they were still standing. Retreat! Retreat! He shouted, but it was too late. A voice whispered in his ear through the comm channel, cracked and cold. You broke a world, so now we'll break your empire. It was Jax, inside. The blood fang, red lights flashed. Explosions shook the decks. The bridge doors blew open, and standing there was Jax, burned, bleeding, but alive. The two leaders stared at each other. Monster. Var roared and charged. Jing moved. At the last second. He sidestepped, slicing clean across Var's chest with his glowing blade. You never understood, Jax said. We don't come because we enjoy the fight. We come because someone has to. He kicked the warlord's body to the floor. Hours later, Elver's was quiet. Smoke still rose, but it was no longer from burning homes. It was from the wreckage of the Tarnock fleet, from the crushed remains of a cruel empire. The people of Elver's gathered. They looked at the 7 humans wounded, tired, silent. One child approached Jax again and touched his hand. Are you angels? The child asked. Jax shook his head. No, we're the reason monsters look under their beds at night. The fires were gone. Elver's, once screaming, was now quiet. The skies were blue again, though smoke still drifted from the broken edges of the cities. But this silence, this peace, it was different. This silence was earned. Across the fields, Elvarian survivors came out of bunkers and caves. Their faces were tired. Many had lost family. Some still carried bandages or burned clothes, but they were alive, and they had one thing on their minds. The humans at the center of the old city square. The reclaimers stood in a loose circle. Their armor was cracked, blood Tarnock and human covered. Bare boots. But they stood tall, watching the crowd grow. Commander Jax didn't speak. He didn't like speeches, but an Elvarian elder stepped forward, holding a strange glowing leaf, something sacred in their culture. He offered it to Jax. We do not know your gods, the elder said, but if they sent you, then we thank them. Jax hesitated and took the leaf and tucked it into his chestplate. Next, to the child's white flower, he gave a small nod. That was enough. Cameras from other worlds arrived. Elver's had sent another signal, not an SOS. This time, it was a message of thanks. And now, the whole galaxy was watching. A reporter from the Valari Free Press, a tall insectoid species, aimed his drone at one of the children standing near Pulse. What did the humans do for you? The drone asked. The child looked up. They didn't come to rule. They didn't ask for money. They just came. In the Galactic Assembly, there was chaos. Representatives from over 200 species had gathered. A massive screen played footage from Elverus. Reclaimers helping civilians, carrying injured, standing guard near schools. Gasps filled the chamber. "These are humans?" a counselor asked. "We were told they were dangerous." Another answered, "Maybe that's true, but they're dangerous to the ones who deserve it." President Malik of Earth appeared by hologram. He spoke clearly, firmly. "Earth has no empire. We do not conquer. But when the innocent call out, we will come. If that makes us dangerous, then good." Back on Elverus, Reclaimer Hex knelt near a group of children painting pictures in the dirt. One drew a stick figure with glowing armor and fire behind him. "That's you," the child smiled. "You saved us." Hex tilted her head. "I also blew up a fuel depot that nearly flattened half a block." The child shrugged. "Still saved us?" Hex gave a rare smile. Elsewhere, Syrah walked beside a grieving mother. The woman had lost her husband in the invasion. She didn't ask for advice. She didn't cry. She just asked one question. "Why did you come?" Syrah looked into the woman's eyes and answered softly, "Because once, no one came for us." That night, a new monument was built at the center of Alvaris. It wasn't made of gold or stone. It was simple. 7 human helmets placed in a circle. And in the middle, a sign written in Elvarian and English. They didn't ask who we were. They only asked, "Who hurt you?" The Reclaimers prepared to leave. Their mission was done. They never stayed for awards or praise. As the Vengeance Dawn powered up, Jox looked back at the planet, glowing in the dark. Another voice crackled through. It comes this time from a small colony on the far edge of space. "This is Lorvin Prime. We are under attack. Anyone, please, help us." Jox didn't blink. "Plot a course," he said. And without a sound, the ship turned toward the stars again. 3 days later. In a distant system, far from Elverus, a dark moon floated in silence. Beneath its surface, the colony of Lorvin Prime was dying. The lights were flickering. The oxygen generators had failed. The invaders' metallic insectoids, known as the Corthan Swarm, had already breached the outer walls. Civilians screamed underground. Their only hope? One short message that had been sent across the stars. To anyone. "Please help us." That message reached Earth. It didn't go through the Galactic Assembly. It didn't pass through any council. It went straight to the one place that mattered. Black Site -9. Inside the frozen vault. The remaining cryopods lit up again. 2 new Reclaimers were chosen. One old pod, long sealed, hissed open, revealing a woman with silver eyes and a scar shaped like lightning across her jaw. The AI voice greeted her coldly. "Reclaimer Nova. Code Omega authorized. Situation: swarm-level incursion on Lorvin Prime." Nova grinned and cracked her neck. "Let's clean up." Meanwhile, on Elverus, children looked to the stars and waved. The Reclaimers were gone, but their stories were already legend. One young Elvarian boy wore a handmade visor and whispered, "If monsters ever come again, the humans will come too." His mother smiled sadly. "How do you know?" The boy pointed upward. "Because they said they would." On Earth, President Malik stood before a screen full of signals, each one a call for help. Not just from Lorvin Prime, not just from Elverus, but from dozens of hidden places across the galaxy, places the Council had ignored. He turned to the Warnet AI. "How many Code Omegas do we have left?" 4 active teams, 3 in cryo, more being trained. Malik looked grim. "That's not enough." The Galactic Assembly was in panic. Ambassadors argued over Earth's growing popularity. Refugee ships from the Tarnok and Corthan invasions begged for entry into Earth's protection zones. One elder alien stood up and shouted. Earth was silent for years. Now they answer every scream. What do they want? What is their plan? A quiet voice answered from the back dock. It was the ambassador from Immerse. They want nothing. They just remember what it's like to scream and be unheard. In the shadows of the stars, the Vengeance Dawn arrived near Lorvin Prime. No warnings. No speeches. It came like a ghost. Drop pods fell once again crashing into the surface, lighting up the darkness. The swarm turned to face the new threat. They expected diplomats. They got reclaimers. On the ground, Reclaimer Nova stepped out of her pod and aimed a fusion lance at the nearest wave of Corthan drones. You sent your message, she said calmly. Now meet the answer. In a small outpost bunker, a terrified Lorvin child looked at the camera feed and saw armored humans walking through fire. He gasped and whispered to his father, Are those the ones from the stories? The father could only nod. Yes, Earth. Came. In the final moments of battle, as the Corthan hive ship exploded in orbit, a new message was sent by Earth, not just to the people of Lorvin, not just to the refugees. It was sent to everyone, every planet, every system, every species. It was short. It was cold. It was a promise. If you cry for help, Earth will hear you, and we will come. As the Vengeance Dawn vanished into hyperspace, another cry was already on its way from a forgotten moon at the edge of the galaxy. And somewhere deep in Earth's black vaults, more cryopods began to warm. Asterisk